Why are the salaries of folks in some countries lower than those of equal folks in other countries? I came across a very interesting report and I wanted to tell you about it in this video. Hey, I'm Andrew Henderson, and I recently came across two very interesting reports from the Mises Institute. What the reports talked about was they compared all of the 50 states in the United States, plus the District of Columbia, so 51 different entities, against all of the countries in Europe. And what they found is that while there were some outliers, such as Switzerland and Luxembourg, most states in Europe were actually, if not the poorest, one of the poorest states in the United States. So, for example, if Austria were to become the 51st United State, it would actually be relatively far down on the list. And this really struck me as very interesting. You know, I'm certainly not a great advocate of the United States as the best place to do business. I also think that Europe is a very difficult place to do business in many cases. But what's interesting is that while the United States actually has a smaller middle class, and in some cases less discretionary income, the median incomes in many of these US states are actually higher than a median income that people actually get to keep in their pocket in European countries. In fact, countries like Italy actually have incomes, again, in your pocket that are as little as half of what people in some US states actually get to go home with. And so I think the big difference that speaks to the nomad capitalist perspective, both for the employees who are earning the salaries, but also the employers, those of us who are paying the salaries, is the payroll tax. I remember sitting and having a meeting a number of years ago in Hong Kong, where a guy came and talked to me and he said, you know, this is a great place to do business because there's basically no taxes on people. You've got a very low salary tax. That's basically it. You know, businesses pay pretty low tax. I mean, across the board, everything's very low, which means you get to keep more of your salary. And then because businesses have to pay less, you get to buy stuff at lower prices for them, and your standard of living is much higher. Now, obviously, what that great business culture has done is rents in Hong Kong they've gone through the roof as a result, right? So it's very expensive to live there from a real estate perspective. The United States obviously does not have this tiny patch of land as their issue. They have plenty of land. And so the United States, where payroll taxes are 7, 8, 9, maybe 10% in some industries when you count Social Security, Medicare, unemployment, stuff like that, payroll taxes are very, very low. Now, go to Europe. This was the first big shock that I had about hiring people many years ago when I started researching this nomad capitalist stuff, which is payroll taxes in Europe are insane. After all, I mean, you've got to pay for that free healthcare, right? All the free healthcare, that free retirement, that cradle to grave thing where the government takes care of you. It's not free. It's being paid for somewhat by the employee, but also by the employer. And so what was interesting was several years ago, I was doing some work in Belgium, doing some research on real estate there. Not a very good real estate market, but I needed to do it for somebody. And I was talking to one of the real estate agents. And I said, what made you get into real estate? And she said, I worked for one of the big 4 accounting firms out of university. And she said, I took home 1,500 euros. For years, she said. That was not even the starting salary. That was like I kept making that for a while. And she said the reason that it was so low, and in turn the reason why rents in Belgium were actually far less expensive than I expected. I mean, city center Brussels, great locations. The rents seemed pretty cheap to me compared to other big cities. She said, that's the reason. And she said my employer was paying something like 4,000 euros or even more. And of that 4,000 euros, I got 1,500 euros between all the taxes that they had to pay, all the social contributions, all the insurance, all the income tax, and then I had to pay more. I mean, literally, you get 1/3, 40% in some cases of the amount that you're earning. And so this is what I tell people on my team. I operate very transparently with my team, and I say, listen, each person is worth a certain amount of money. Okay. If you do, for example, video production, that's what you do for me, that's worth a certain amount of money to me. I cannot allow the government to come in and wave a magic wand and say, oh, that job that was worth X is now worth X plus 30%. I will say the job is still worth X, so now we just take out the 30% and you get less. So if you're coming at this from the nomad capitalist perspective, what I would encourage you to do is, number one, you should go where you're treated best. You should go where corporate taxes are lower. You should go where there are fewer regulations, fewer impediments, fewer forms to file, so that you can just operate your business more freely. But you'll also want to consider the impact of what's the financial impact on people who are working for you? What are their tax implications? What's going on with them? And understand that there's a difference in how much money people who work around the world get to keep because of their government. And I think it's a great idea to allow people on your team to make a decision. You know, do I want to live here, or do I want to live somewhere else where I can keep more of my own money? I think building teams of people around the world is a great benefit of doing this. And so if you're in Europe and you're tired of paying all these taxes, it might be a good idea to look somewhere else, not just for you, but for the people who are working for you as well, because there's often a big difference and it can add up to a lot of money.
Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist. I wrote this book, which you can find on Amazon, to distill a lot of the stuff we talk about in these videos and a lot of the stuff I've learned over the last decade plus traveling all around the world, teaching you about how to legally reduce your taxes, build your personal freedom, and create wealth faster. Definitely get a copy of this book if you want to learn more. Now, if you want to watch more videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel and make sure you click the notifications bell so you never miss one of our new videos with more tips on how to go where you're treated best. And if you're already a 6 or 7 figure entrepreneur and you'd like to put these strategies in place for yourself, go to nomadcapitalist.com and learn about how I can help you.